I never imagined a single phone call could turn my world upside down, but that's exactly what happened. It was a crisp autumn afternoon in Chicago, the kind where the sky feels endless and the air tastes of change. I was about to ignore the unfamiliar number flashing on my screen, but something deep within urged me to pick up. "Hello," I answered cautiously. The voice on the other end was unmistakable, though it had been years since I'd last heard it. "Samantha, it's Isabella," she said, her tone oddly formal, yet laced with something unsettling I couldn't quite place. "Isabella?" I replied, trying to mask the tremor in my voice. "What's going on?" Isabella, my estranged sister, paused before delivering her news. Our grandmother had passed away. The words hit me hard, but there was something off in the way she spoke, too composed, almost taunting. "I just wanted to let you know," she continued with a subtle hint of mockery. "I'm sure you're busy with your modest life." I could practically feel her smirk through the phone. Her words cut, but I held myself together. "Thank you for letting me know. I'll make arrangements." But it wasn't only her words that stung. It was the flood of memories they brought with them. Growing up, Isabella had always been the golden child, our father's obvious favorite, exuding a charm that seemed to turn every obstacle into an opportunity. In contrast, I was the quiet one, often lost in her shadow, no matter how hard I tried. We hadn't spoken in years, not since the day I cut ties with her and the family. It wasn't only about her betrayal. It was the way it exposed the deep, unspoken dynamics that had defined us all. David Parker, once my fiancé, had been the love of my life. We had planned a future together, until Isabella, with her disarming smile and practiced allure, stole him away. Losing him was more than just heartbreak. It felt like a betrayal I could never forgive. Our family had always been fractured. My father, a stern and unyielding man, had favored Isabella, perhaps because she resembled him in both looks and temperament. My mother, though caring, was often caught in the middle, trying to support me while knowing where my father's loyalty lay. Eventually, I left my job as a school administrator and built a new life with John, my husband, who loved me in ways my family never could. We had a cozy home in the suburbs, a life filled with warmth and love, and a bright, talented daughter, Lily, whose passion for drawing lit up our world. But Isabella's call brought old wounds to the surface, memories I tried to bury. Going back for the funeral felt like stepping back into a world I'd long left behind. The day finally came, and there I was, standing before our family home. It looked the same, unchanged yet somehow different, as though the walls held the shadows of our past. The laughter, the arguments, the dreams shattered by betrayal. Inside, the air was thick with grief, mingled with an unsettling tension. I spotted Isabella across the room, still the center of attention, people hanging on her every word. She was as poised as ever, her charm undiminished by time. And in that moment, I felt a sense of dread. It was as though, despite the years, we were still locked in that same struggle. During the ceremony, Isabella managed to corner me. "Samantha," she said, smiling in that practiced way that didn't reach her eyes. "It's been a while." "Yes," I forced a smile, matching her tone. "It has." "Oh, she replied, her voice dripping with false sweetness. "Life has been interesting." There was something in her gaze, a familiar rivalry simmering beneath her words. I realized then that this was more than a family reunion. It was a reckoning, an inevitable confrontation with the past. What I didn't know was that this encounter would unravel secrets I could never have anticipated, truths that would change everything I thought I knew about my sister and our family. The days leading up to the funeral were thick with tension, each one a reminder of the unresolved history between me and Isabella. I tried to immerse myself in the daily routines with John and Lily, but the looming reunion kept pressing on my mind, an unwelcome shadow of past betrayals. On the day of the funeral, the family home was filled with distant relatives and family friends, each face a reminder of my ties to this place and the complicated dynamics that had shaped my life. The house itself seemed to hold its breath, a silent witness to our shared past. A place where laughter and pain lived side by side, layered like old paint on the walls. When I entered the living room, I felt Isabella's gaze on me. Her presence, as polished and composed as ever, exuded that same quiet, arrogant confidence. She didn't wait long to approach me, her smile poised but tinged with a competitive edge. "I've been meaning to catch up," she said, a curious tone in her voice. "It's been too long since we've really talked." "Yes, it has," I replied, keeping my voice even. How have things been for you? She waved a hand dismissively. Oh, busy of course, but good. I'm sure the family has told you all about it. There was an unmistakable hint of vanity in her words, an implication of her achievements that felt directed right at me. The last I'd heard, she was living a glamorous life in Los Angeles, a carefully cultivated facade of luxury and success. I knew better than to believe everything I heard. During the wake, Isabella made sure everyone knew how successful she was. She talked about her life in LA, dropped hints about her social circle, and casually mentioned her past with David Parker, my ex-fiancé. Her tone was unaffected, as if losing him had been nothing more than a minor inconvenience. But her words cut, each one a reminder of the life she'd once stolen from me. Determined to seek closure, I pulled her aside as the crowd began to thin. Isabella, can we talk? I said, my voice carefully controlled. Of course, she replied, her eyes narrowing slightly. What's on your mind? I took a deep breath. I need to understand why, I said, my voice trembling just a bit. Why did you have to take David from me? Did you think it was that easy to walk in and take what wasn't yours? Isabella's expression hardened, the false cheerfulness melting away. Samantha, it wasn't about taking anything. David and I had a connection. You just didn't see it. Connection? I scoffed, anger rising. You manipulated him, Isabella. You knew how much I loved him. She shrugged nonchalantly, her gaze icy. David made his own choices. You have to let it go, Samantha. Life doesn't wait around for anyone. The dismissiveness in her tone was infuriating, as though she hadn't shattered my world once before. You've never understood, have you? I replied, my voice now quivering with emotion. It wasn't just about David. It was about how you've always had everything handed to you while I was left struggling. Her face tightened. Don't blame me for your shortcomings. We all have our battles, Samantha. Maybe if you'd been more assertive, things would have turned out differently. Her words were a punch to the gut, reopening wounds I thought I healed. I took a steadying breath, struggling to maintain my composure. This isn't just about David. It's about everything. The way you were always favored, the way our family treated us differently. Before Isabella could respond, we were interrupted by distant relatives, and I had to step away, leaving our confrontation unresolved. The rest of the evening passed in a blur of faces and condolences, my mind replaying our bitter exchange, my heart heavy with both regret and determination. The days after the funeral felt surreal. I was grateful for John and Lily, who sensed my turmoil but offered quiet comfort rather than probing questions. Lily's joy became my anchor, her artwork, shared on her YouTube channel, a reminder that life had given me a new family and purpose. But Isabella wasn't done. True to form, she took to social media, posting subtle jabs and barbed comments aimed at painting her life as a dazzling success while casting mine as small and inconsequential. Her posts were laced with sarcasm, hinting at my boring life, trying to chip away at my happiness in front of an online audience. After one particularly cruel post, Lily and I decided to fight back, not with words, but with truth. Together, we created a video for her YouTube channel that highlighted the joy and warmth of our life, subtly refuting Isabella's narrative. We didn't name her directly, but the hints were clear enough for anyone who knew us. The video spread quickly, and soon people began to see the cracks in Isabella's carefully maintained image. Comments flooded her social media, questioning her integrity and pointing out the inconsistencies in her stories. The flawless facade she'd built around herself was beginning to crumble. For the first time in years, I felt a glimmer of hope, a sense that perhaps this was the beginning of a new chapter, one where I no longer had to play the quiet shadow to Isabella's spotlight. It was time to confront the truth, expose the lies, and finally reclaim the life and happiness that had been mine all along. Isabella's perfectly crafted facade had finally begun to crack. Her life, once a model of elegance and superiority, started to unravel in ways no one had anticipated. Public scrutiny and backlash from our confrontation left her vulnerable, exposing the weaknesses she had so long hidden. At the same time, David, her ex-husband and once the man I thought I would marry, faced his own collapse. Under immense pressure from both his professional life and the fallout with Isabella, he made a costly mistake at work that led to his dismissal. With the weight of financial strain and his own emotional turmoil, he spiraled, losing direction and confidence. Unable to manage it all, Isabella made a drastic choice. She filed for divorce, severing the last of her ties with David. Their son James became an unfortunate casualty in their chaotic lives. With Isabella's unstable circumstances, he was placed into a care facility, his life now a far cry from the privileged existence she had once flaunted. Amid this turmoil, the family dynamics shifted. My mother, who had always shown a soft spot for Isabella, approached me one day with tears in her eyes. Her voice trembled with regret as she apologized for the years of favoritism that had so painfully distanced us. "I'm so sorry for everything, Samantha," she said, her face softening. "I see now how much pain we caused. We should have done better by you." I appreciated her words, though the wounds of the past wouldn't heal overnight. I chose to keep my relationship with her cordial but distant, focusing instead on what truly mattered: the happiness of my own family. As Isabella's life crumbled, John and I decided to take a well-needed break from the chaos. We took Lily to an amusement park for a joyful day of rides, laughter, and bonding. It was exactly what we needed, a reminder of the simple pleasures and the love that held us together. It was a day of light in the shadowed weeks that had preceded it, renewing our strength as a family. The weeks following our trip brought a profound sense of calm. The turmoil that had once defined my relationship with Isabella and my family felt distant. Isabella's collapse had exposed the destructive power of envy, a fate she couldn't avoid as her reputation dwindled and the truth became clear to everyone around her. David, too, was left in a state of aimlessness, struggling with his own failures. But I felt detached from it all. My life had moved forward, and my focus was now on the future I had chosen for myself and my family. John and I nurtured our bond, and Lily thrived, her YouTube channel a beacon of joy and creativity. Watching her grow was a daily reminder of the life we had built together. One day, I received a heartfelt letter from my mother, apologizing once again for the pain and asking for forgiveness. While I appreciated her regret, I knew mending our relationship would be a long journey. I responded kindly, acknowledging her apology while emphasizing the importance of moving forward. As time passed, I realized how the hardships had deepened my family's resilience. In our quiet moments together, I understood that each challenge had brought us closer, knitting us together through shared experiences. With summer giving way to fall, I felt inspired to channel my journey into something positive. I began planning a community initiative aimed at helping families navigate their own conflicts and build healthier relationships, a way to turn my experiences into support for others facing similar struggles. Looking back, I saw the path we'd taken, from the tumultuous reunion at our grandmother's funeral to the social media clash, and all the revelations in between. Isabella's story became a cautionary tale of how manipulation and envy could ultimately lead to self-destruction. For me, it was a journey of growth, an awakening to the strength I carried all along. With John beside me, Lily's laughter brightening our days, and a new project on the horizon, I felt hopeful for the future. The past was behind us, and I now understood that my true strength lay in the love of my family and the wisdom gained from hardship. The road ahead was open, filled with promise, and I was ready to face it with an open heart. No matter what challenges awaited, I knew that our family's unity would guide us through anything that came our way.